everyone. Welcome to Spiritism at Noon. We are back to resume our studies on the book A Full Life, written by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis through the mediumship of Divaldo Franco. As we always like to remind everyone, each chapter talks about a different subject. So if you're just tuning in today, you are going to be having a full chapter, a full lesson, and discussions on the subject of today. Our chapter today is chapter 15 from the book that we mentioned, and it is called Jesus. So we are very happy to be talking about Jesus today because I think it's always a source of inspiration to us all. And the more we talk about Jesus, the more we will find answers and understanding in our lives. And I think as well, strength. So let's start reading. In all epochs since the early times when the intelligent principle started its evolutionary process, Jesus encountered beings characterized by ferocity and heightened perceptions of life. Generations have succeeded one another like waves in the ocean, developing bellicose ambitions and sentiments of submission to the belief in the superior forces that govern the world. Before it was defined and understood, human existence inspired fear even in the most barbaric generations, giving rise to terrible forms of worship, of submission and respect, as well as the joy of gratitude and obedience. During the long pre Christian period, men and women emerged endowed with power and strength, knowledge and fright, imposing themselves as leaders and commanders of savage groups that annihilated one another, unaware of an accountability. Nebuchadnezzar emerged in Babylon, Ashurbanipal in Assyria, Cyrus in Persia, Alexander the Great in Macedon, Quan Kong in China, and Julius Caesar in Rome. But alongside these cruel and bellicose personalities who created and destroyed great empires, there were also missionaries of love and truth. So,
Mm,
this opening by Joana de Angelis, she reminds us about the first stirrings of the intelligence principle when we were in the early stages of evolution, where we were humanity were much more marked by ferocity, instinctive perception, and we see all those leaders that she mentioned and that were represented figures of military might and conquest, and how people were at the same time very affected and had to go along with those tyrants that we had at that time. So we are talking about a pre-Christian period in humankind. And when we go and study history and I don't know, watch movies about it, we will see how hard it was. Even then, sometimes I think we are very we exaggerate sometimes in terms of judging these characters, because if at the same time they were very bad tyrant looking for power and domination, in comparison to how we were at that period, we were even worse. So they were bad, but we were worse. And of course, the more we evolve, the more we will be entitled to, you know, have better governance. which will take a while, since when you look around in the world, we see a lot of, faults in this area, but we are progressing, we are getting there. So Joanna de Angelis makes a point when she's talking about Jesus for us to think about a little bit of what it was life before Jesus,
uh,
and in terms of our values, our understanding, even the vision that we had of God, that it was like, it had to be a tyrant, like those governors that we had, the emperors, the kings. God had to be like one of them. I mean, that was the only image that we could depict of God. And then it comes Jesus. But before Jesus, she talks still about some light that we had even in those times. Before we go there, any question, any comment? Yes, Sonia.
This idea about God, I believe is still true now because sometimes people really believe because they have like a good life. It's like, oh, I have God protections more in me because I'm good person because I really rise
Yeah.
this bless this is still inside the people.
Yes, there are many people that still have this idea or think that they are immune to God. God is not going to reach me. I mean, my fortune, my power, my success
It's
are stronger than God, and I have all of that thanks to me, right? Little,
yeah,
little
it's
do
a
they know.
problem.
And yeah, and that's why, thank God, we have life after life that is going to be reminding us of
yeah,
our position as children of God and not as God itself,
yes, yeah,
right? That's a very good point, Sonia. So she goes on saying Krishna, Lao Tzu, Confucius, Moses, Zoroaster, or Zarathustra, Akhenaten, Greek and Roman gods, together with the gods of all other mythologies and animistic doctrines, hailed immortality while exhorting the people to have faith and respect for the supreme sovereign of life. Prophets and oracles, seers and shamans, intermediaries to communicate with the spirit world, spoke about the river of oblivion, as well as happy and unhappy awakenings upon returning, as a warning to those still traveling in the flesh to make them pay attention and develop their good inclinations. Gods and angels, as odd as they were violent, fought against those that were good and kind, who would announce the continuation of life and explain the existential enigmas. Various thinkers delved into the profound questions regarding the universe and its grandeur, looking for answers that would explain the reason for existing, pains and joys, good and evil. After much reflection to which they dedicate their lives, they also contributed the wisdom they had acquired regarding life, deliverance, and its extinction in colossal philosophical propositions that continue to lead human thought till today. So now that this session, she talks about this, historical canvas showing what it was before the advent of Jesus. That humanity had its chance. It already was being guided by some of those um, names that she mentioned here: Krishna in Hindu tradition, Lao Tzu, that was the founder of Taoism. Confucius, that was the philosopher of ethics, social harmony, Moses, the lawgiver of the Hebrews, Zoroaster, that was the Persian prophet, Akhenaten, that was an Egyptian pharaoh, and all of them they were mentioning, they were talking about immortality and how we had to have reverence for the supreme source of life. And but we were also living in a time of polytheism, right? So uh, there were this idea that there were many gods and gods related to this or that characteristic. And but they, some of them, even in the Greek mythology, they talk about this river of oblivion, that it was the what is called the river Lech, with a leech. I don't know how to say it properly, because they say that once you drink for the water of this river, you forget about everything else. And so, so many other philosophers like, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, they were questioning, they had questions. They were very inquisitive about, the soul, virtues, the nature of reality. So they were already, starting stirring in people um, this idea that there is something else. It cannot only be that. And how can we understand us human beings? And so there was this, before Jesus came, there was this time where, at the same time that we were actually living under the tyrants, there were already noble spirits incarnating among us, starting with those questions and bringing this knowledge to us. Any question or comment?
It's amazing how you explained that many of them were very well equipped of like you said, the soul, and they had ideas of this, but I guess it wasn't time. We needed more time to grasp who we were and what was going on, because they questioned a lot, and like today they're doing the same thing, but they don't seem to, you can't seem to see any, you see improvements, but without looking back, and you look at the present now, you say, my God, this can't be any worse.
Mhm.
It is what it is. It's the beginning of thinking of why this and why that, and a lot of them were there, and they had the right ideas, but it wasn't time. I guess, I don't know.
You see, it's interesting when you mentioned time. I was thinking about us today, right? Thinking uh, life can distract us so much as not to think about the important things of life. And so, can you imagine them at that time? Life was so much harder, how they had to provide from themselves. And
Yes.
most of the time being among, wars and conflicts and I mean, there was not much room, I guess, for the general population to be thinking about those philosophical questions and understanding about the invisible forces. Okay, I understand the invisible force of a hurricane, of, a tsunami, and the forces of nature. But when we are talking about God or gods, that's why they had to place specific attributes to each one of them, because then they will say, no, this is the god that, Bacchus, that likes to drink the wine and party. So they had to make them humans so that there would be some resonance with their lives. But then, to think about philosophical questions, who am I? From where did I come from? To where am I going? It's still so hard today. And if you go to some people, perhaps they will say, I don't have time to be thinking about those things. And they replied, well, because they will distribute time according to their interest.
Okay.
And their interest is, what is going around, what is the new fashion, what did our government said today, or what has been happening in the world, or even nice things like knowing about family members. But we have to find room, we have to find time, otherwise that's why we don't see us advancing by leaps and bounds. It's so slow, it's so gradually because still we are lingering and clinging to here and now, and
Mm.
not thinking, about what comes after.
Yeah.
So,
But in
Mm.
that time, I really believe the humanity, the incarnation about people with like a humble soul and a good feeling, more more prepared to understand what coming with Jesus.
mhm,
Not really about so deep philosophical thoughts, but with like um nice soul, nice spirit to understand better and feel that situation with heart, not with mind.
mhm. You're right. We know that the law is that of progress. So we are progressing, but we are taking a long time to progress because we are stubborn. It's like a child. You say, don't do this, that you're going to hurt yourself. And the child is going to continue doing until it hurts oneself. And then say, oh, yeah, maybe I should have done that differently. But how many times we go through the same experience, knowing that is not going to take us nowhere. And but no, this is the way it has to be. We don't think about, or we don't follow the advices. We don't go after something else, and unless pain strikes.
Right. That's how we learn, through pain, unfortunately.
It didn't have to be this way. Like the mother, when she's telling the child, don't do this,
Mhm.
you're going to wind up hurting yourself and the child. Nah,
Yes.
my mom doesn't know anything, right?
Mm.
I know better, until they come crying, oh, mommy, right?
Yeah, yes.
And it's exactly what we've been doing for so long. So I believe now, I mean, we should speed up this process, right? I don't want to suffer anymore, right?
But for those that know, we should be doing much more because we know more than
Mm,
probably others around us. And
yes, right.
it's like my granddaughter had a problem with her father, and
Mhm.
she's wailing and saying all these things about her father. And I explained to her, I says, listen, you have to understand, be patient. He has problems. You know better. You educated now. You should know better. Come on, that's your dad. He's giving you so much. He loves you. And she continues, no, you don't understand. Says, no, 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 no. I'm listening to you, but I want you to listen to me for a moment, please. You have to understand, forgive him. Let it go. Let go of that pain. That pain is going to bring you a whole lot of headaches and pain. You have to understand to let go. Be good. Forgive him 1,000 times. But I was happy because she kept quiet. She
Yeah.
didn't continue. She wanted to continue, but I kept explaining to her. And she stopped. And I says, okay, maybe I got through her a little bit, a little tiny little light, maybe. So she'll call me tomorrow, whatever. And she says, I'm calling him later. I says, okay, you do that. But she is so upset. She's so angry. And you could tell, could see this, the person has to learn and understand what's going on in life. If they don't, they're just going to continue repeating the same things. And, I wanted to go into, look, this is your dad, and about how many times we've been here. I can't go through that on the phone and explain all these things to her little by little. She understands a little, but you can tell that's poof. She's so furious. So, okay, be patient. And that's all I told her. I'm glad I spoke to her. And she kept quiet. She doesn't contradict me. She just listens. So that's a good point there. She listens. Whether
Yeah.
she does it or not, I don't know. I hope she does. But
But you see, so right, this is another thing, right? I mean, we expect perfection from others and not from ourselves. And so just because they are parents, what we are going to be expecting that they are perfect? Don't they have the right to wear as well, to misjudge as well? And I mean, even if she is right, it shouldn't be the reason for them to, strain the relationship to the point of sometimes eliminating it completely, right? And so I think this is one thing that we have to tell them as well. Listen, even if maybe it was not all right what your father did, or I don't know if this is the case here. Okay, I'm just
yeah, no, I understand, of
yeah,
course.
using it. Even if you think it's not all right, give him the benefit of the doubt. I remember this drawing that there is one person on the 6 o'clock and the other one at the 12 o'clock, right? One facing the other. And then there is this number 6 or 9 drawn in the ground. So from my perspective, it's 6, but from the other perspective, the position is 9.
You see.
And
Uh-huh.
they are both right.
Right. Right.
But they don't talk to each other saying, you know what? Let's change position and see what is going on. Because if we do that, now I will see 9 instead of 6, and you will see 6 instead of 9. And so I think in many of the fight that we have with friends, especially with friends and family, it is about that. Because no, I'm going to stay in my perspective, and I'm not going to listen to you to see that. Of course, you cannot agree because from your perspective is completely different,
Of course.
right? But you're right as much as I am right, because from my perspective it's different. And I mean, from the perspective of being a parent and being the child, it's a completely different perspective. Right? It's not that just because I'm older now that
Better.
there aren't at least 25, 20, 25, 30 years apart, which make perspectives and experiences different.
Yes. But I love that example, 6 and 9. I'm going to keep it in my head. So,
Yeah, show to her, because sometimes it's just a matter of, let me listen to the arguments of the other. Why do you say that it's 9 when I see 6?
yeah.
I love
Let,
this
let me
story. I
I,
love.
let
I
me
took a note to remember when
yeah.
I need this.
I'm writing it down right now.
There is another one with the triangle, and then it's geometric figures, but this one is, I think it's fantastic. It's just a little drawing. I mean, you don't even have to say something. Let me show you something. Sit there on the side of the table. I will sit here.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
you draw the number and say, what do you see?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And do you know what I'm seeing?
Oh my goodness.
So let's talk about it.
Oh my God. There you go. Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's go on here. During a period in which humanity enjoyed political peace under Emperor Octavian, Jesus, the one whom all the prophecies refer to, was born. In a small village where nature was at its best, a limestone cave sheltering farm animals, became resplendent with light because that is where the terrestrial king was born,
Ah,
humble and luminous like a starry night. Surrounded by shepherds on their flock, he was born under the tyrannical reign of the cruel murderer Herod the Great, was promptly informed of his arrival on the earth through the naivete of visitors from the east who had become bearing gifts for the newborn child. The target of inhumane traps, he moved to the land of the Sphinx and Egyptian pyramids, journeying along the blessed sandy banks of the Nile River until the day he returned home after the death of the deceiving and deceived tyrant.
mm,
He grew up with the spontaneity of the lilies of the field and the beauty of the daily dawns, rich with sunlight and as good as the honey produced by hard-working bees.
mm,
He lived in a humble place where simplicity and the pure hearts of the people sang praise to the Lord, distinguishing everyone with the angelic tenderness of love. Jesus is the magnificent Son of God who gave his life to teach love to human beings, whose moral development was still very limited on account of their poor culture. Powerful were only those who could execrate and hurt, dominate and kill. Rich was those who had coins and assets that time consumes. Thieves steal things that will stay behind and never remain with their owners for very long, always changing hands.
mm,
Feelings of respect and duty mixed with the fear and power wielded by those who present themselves as mighty, the common people living off the land and the sea of the modest trades for the sustenance of the body were completely ignored. So it's actually the picture that she painted before, right? You know, we were living under the rule of tyrants, one way or another. Although you know the Octavian period, where we had what it was called the Pax Romana. Was a rare moment of political stability in the vast Roman Empire, but still we had a Herod, right? That as soon as he heard about the birth of Jesus, sent out his soldiers to kill all the infant males, right? Because he was fearing that this child was going to become the king uh, of Judea at that time and all this. So we
mm,
I really uh, lost my words when I read the paragraph where she describes Jesus growing up with the spontaneity of the lilies of the field, beauty of daily dawns, rich with the sunlight, and good as honey. Right, I thought, oh my God, she's really Joanna de Angelis is really a poet, right?
mm,
And how beautiful! How can we imagine, you know, a soul that can express herself in this manner? And of course, talking about Jesus, and which makes it easier. But in any case, it's still so hard for many of us to describe Jesus as she did here. I was very touched by the way she put it in this way, and showing that he came in a very humble position, although you know the symbolism behind all that, like you know the limestone cave means something that is solid, there is ancient, that is unpretentious, that it's still capable of sheltering the vulnerable, right? And the light, when she talks about the light and in how he was surrounded by the shepherd. Jesus himself, called himself as a good shepherd, the good shepherd, right? And so this is how she describes it. And when he had to move to Egypt, that's we don't know more information about that, except that Egypt is not that far from where Jesus were born. It was something completely doable at that time as well, when Joseph and Mary and Jesus had to move to there. But then he returns, and he keeps on, with his simplicity, uh, the hope, the sweetness, and all the other virtues that he would naturally be showing along the way, representing the Son of God, and showing the contrast of Jesus in relation to all the others, and even how the Jesus was born. Most of the kings and queens and pharaohs and emperors, um, they came in a very good condition, but Jesus came in the worst condition possible. But it still is not about the surroundings, it's about the inner self, what we have, what we are, what we have achieved.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Any question or comment?
Was the first time people start learning about how to follow someone, not for the power and war like commands power, but the opposite way, to follow someone with simple. It it was the first time we started learning about this, right?
I mean, with a different message, because, and they followed Moses, for instance, before Jesus. It was
Yeah, it's true.
that. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there were others, like, even the names that we said before, Confucius, Lao Tse, they all had their followers, right? But I think, with this different perspective and understanding, and as being, the purest spirit incarnated on earth, it is the first time, and all his message of love, and God being a loving creature that would never do any harm to its children, which is true till today. It's not God that is punishing us.
Mm.
It is
Mm.
not God.
Yeah.
God says, go through this straight line, and everything will be fine. But then you say, I don't like straight lines, right? I prefer the winding road, right? And then, it's like the child. We are going to end up crying because we didn't hear. But now, once we deviate from the path, it takes a lot of effort to go back to the path again. It's like, now you are in your car and you miss it, an exit. Okay,
Uh-huh.
you have the GPS that will say recalculating.
Yeah.
But then when it's recalculating, you say, you know what? Your travel now is going to be 20 miles longer than before,
Yeah.
100 miles longer than before.
Yes.
And if we keep saying, "Oh, this GPS doesn't know anything," let me do what I think it is. Now it's 50 miles.
Thanks.
And if we want to get back to the road, what do we have to do? We have to face the 50 miles. We will
I
not
love
just
your
say,
examples.
okay, as a magic, have a magic wand that is going to transport me to the road again. No, you
Sure.
have
Yeah.
to do and go through those, difficult roads, right? And that there is not how no more highways.
No bridge to cut the way.
So you just can't go 20 miles an hour, not 50 miles or 55 or 65. No, you have to, and then, it's like being there in that, other road, not as good and not as paved as the other one. 20 miles, it takes time. And this is what we've been doing, and it's not God. It's us doing to ourselves until we say, okay, God, you know what? Your way is better than mine.
I hope we all get there. Oh,
Yes.
goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're still learning, right?
oh yes, absolutely.
And it doesn't mean that when I have to go back and drive back 50 miles, I will not be complaining, perhaps, cursing my stupidity.
That's what
Part
we do.
of
Right?
learning.
That's what
This
we
is part of learning.
Okay, you're allowed to do that. Okay.
Exactly. When we think about my mistakes,
Yeah.
I'm able not
mm,
have the same mistakes.
But at the end of the day, what do you have to do? Just resign, just accept.
do it. Do it. Nothing else
Okay.
to
There
do.
is no other way. If I want to get back to the road,
But
now I have to go through this path. And okay, I'm gonna do it. It's going to take longer, but I'm still going to be able
yes.
to. So, what is the lesson here?
Yeah.
Don't miss the next exit. Right? Otherwise, you're going to complicate yourself again. And this way is better. No. Uh, listen to the GPS. Listen to God.
Pay more attention. Pay more attention about your
Okay.
behavior.
Yes. Yes.
Attention. Okay, so let's go to the last part here. Uh, he came to teach the path to happiness and plenitude. A person is rated by what he or she is and not by the valuables they anxiously carry and lose along the way. Goodness is spontaneous like the fruit born of the flower and the wind that blows, not knowing where it came from or where it's going. For those and many other reasons, he became exceptional. His existence is the most beautiful life story known to date. Musicality of his message reverberates to this day as the most sublime symphony ever heard, written on nature's pentagram, while the afternoon breeze celebrated each verse and the first stars of the dusk lit up magical lanterns of incomparable light in the darkness of the earth. The song of his beatitudes, encouraging souls hungry for peace, would never be forgotten. During the darkness that was prevalent and the most momentous occasions, his light never faded as he declared, I am the light of the world. And the sublime light continues to be the resplendent spiritual north of humanity. Before the despair of those who hungered for material bread, he announced, I am the bread of life. And he continues to abundantly nourish the planet's inhabitants across time. When turmoil wanted to confound his followers, he declared with compassion, I am the way. No one who has ever followed him has gone astray. As the enemies reacted and initiated bold offensives, he confirmed, I am the truth. In 20 centuries, nothing has replaced his ethics of love and peace. And finally, when the failure of men increased the struggles that grew ever fiercer, he proclaimed, I am the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Jesus is the living rock of which we will always find support. Nothing disturbs him or veers him away from the future he has in store for us, the attainment of plenitude. At Christmas time, when suffering is more intense and impactful, remember him and fear not. While everything in the world is transitory, his love is always with you, as you will hear him say, "Be of good cheer. I am Jesus." Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
It's so amazing. So,
Oh, 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 what can you say about that, right? I mean,
Emotion.
yes.
uh, uh,
Yeah. Yes.
and
She she's a portrait. Yeah, because how she explained the details and
Yeah.
touch our soul, it's
Yes.
so amazing.
and I mean,
See,
it's a
so,
heart that feels pure love, right?
ah,
And describing pure love, that is Jesus. And so, I mean, and we know she loved this word plenitude, that means true fulfillment, right? So, this is our main goal in life, to reach this true fulfillment, this plenitude. And so, we are not alone, and this is, I think, it's the main message here. She mentions Christmas because it's when, naturally, we many people sometimes will see themselves deprived of the most valuable thing we have in the world, that is love, the love of a loving one, right? And
mm,
this is how sometimes we feel that emptiness. But then she says we are not going alone, because we have the light of the world, we have the bread of life, we have the way, we have the truth, and we have the life. And
mhm.
Jesus will always be there, reminding us, be of good cheer. I'm Jesus. And I really think the way that she was able to portray Jesus here, and to bring this uh, spiritual symphony, that, like she said, and mentioned the Beatitudes, and that we are studying till today, and there is considered in all religions and philosophies, and so when we think about that, and we look around, and we look at ourselves, and we look at, the experiences we are having right now, we know that we are not alone, and that Jesus is always in command, and that he is there to give us and to help us in this difficult time in our lives, which is the time that we is still struggling to understand that he is the path to truth and life. And I'm very grateful to Joanna de Angelis for bringing this beautiful and so profound lesson and reflections to us, because, thinking about Jesus in not just one day a year, but it's every day and every hour of our lives. And it's only through what he taught, and what, his examples, and what he endured, that we are able to go through what we have to go through as well, and give our testimonies in life, as life calls us as well to be living testimonies of the true believing in God. Um, and yes, if this is the path that God has set to us, let's be grateful, because God knows better, even if there are some bumps on the road.
Exactly, because I'm the light. Oh, you you took out, but
Oh, sorry, I
the
did.
mention about continue this light continue to be the north of humanity. It
Mhm,
means show the way.
mhm. Yeah.
Which one? Yeah.
His light show us the way we need to take.
Yeah. We will never be in the dark.
No, right. Absolutely not.
Never be in the dark and in his light. We never have to have hunger. And then he's talking about a different hunger, right? But hunger because he's the bread of life.
Right.
And remember when he came to that Samaritan woman and said, I can offer you the water of life that is going to satiate you forever.
Ah, that's
So
beautiful.
it's not just the water of the well, right? It's the water of life. So, yeah, so thank you so much, Joanna de Angelis, because, yeah,
It's
brought
actually
all
brings
of this to us.
so much light and so much knowledge and
Mhm.
to understand and repeating it and getting it. I think of this, my mind is going to so much with what's going on in the world today. I know we know what's going on, but especially over where is it in Gaza, whatever, what's going on with everything that's going on in that country. What is going on, Jusara? It's so sad. How how could we have gotten to this point?
Yeah.
It's like, uh, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there must be a reason.
It is. There
Most
is a
probably
reason.
the reason is us, right? Because, like we said before, it's not God that puts
No,
difficulties in our path, in our journey,
we're the ones that do it. I know.
right? We are the ones that do it or don't do it because we just don't think we. I mean,
Yeah.
I have nothing to do with that. And then when it comes the time for you to manifest yourself, you don't. So,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes we have to go down to value, going up again.
Mm,
And I believe we are living one of those times, where um,
mm,
the suffering we are enduring is because we have been indifferent to prevent it and or help it to happen. And now we have to understand that we have to be more careful in the future and and participate, have good decisions, and do what each one of us as human beings can do,
mhm.
and go through a different path.
Yeah.
So it is our fault,
Yes,
and
it is.
now we are suffering the consequences.
Yes.
And we are learning in the process. And then it comes to a point where God says, like the mother, she says, don't do it. She doesn't go there and just remove violently the child from, doing something that it can
Yeah.
hurt the child, right? She just say, don't do it, and allow a little, leeway, right? A little free will. Okay, you think you can do it. Let's see what's going to happen. And so this is what we are going through now. I mean,
Right.
but it's going to change, Soraya, because
Somehow. Of
history
course, it has to.
tells us that, right?
Yes.
History shows us as that. Unfortunately, we have to go through the aftermath,
Mm,
which is part of the process of you really
yeah.
internalizing the lesson. Because sometimes when you are living the lesson, it's so much suffering. And
Yes.
then there is this time where, okay, now the main suffering is gone, but you have to internalize the message, dealing with the mess, right?
Yes.
That the message brought to you because of your own doing. And so, yes, but I understand that when we go to people and we say that, they think, we are perhaps too optimistic. Uh,
Yeah.
but we have to be. History has shown that so many times, how many governors, emperors, dominations of the world, the Roman Empire, Greek Empire. I mean, Egyptian. Are of those today? Nothing, right? And so we are going to go through the same path, um, and
Yeah.
they are going to be contributing for the betterment of society as a whole.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I have no idea how could be to leave the war, because I never lived the war in my life. But every time when I feel evolution inside myself,
Mm.
looks like a war for me inside myself. And I call Jesus every time
Mm.
I receive something. I receive the answer. Someone call my attention. I read a sentence or
Yes.
something to remind me
Yeah.
Jesus is there for us.
Mhm.
It's really amazing, because most of the time when we are living some challenge, we're not able to pray. Like, I try to
Yeah.
pray, but then I just call, oh Jesus, please help me, or my guardian angel, please guide me, or something like this, and I really receive.
Yes.
I believe with this kind of faith and understand about the meaning of Jesus,
Mhm.
and it's wonderful. He is really the way and the light and the bread and the
Yeah.
truth and the life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have so much to fall on because of all we have received. Allan Kardec, all the books that have been written. You know, and anytime you have a problem in the day or when we wake up and go to sleep, you look at a library that you have in your home. You pick, there's so much. You, I can take 4 of them and just read one after the other, anything, just open to it. And it seems like it speaks to me. I says, I got the answer. Okay, okay. I'm gonna relax. I understand. But we're so blessed to have this. You know, I thank God every day. Dear God, what would I have been today without this? It just moves you and you understand and you keep going no matter what happens. It is there, and I thank God every day for it, for what we have. We are so blessed.
Yeah, we are. We are. That's what helps us to navigate those really tormented waters, right?
That not the solution, but give us the way.
Yeah.
Sisi, absolutely.
Open our mind to understand better that situation and have answers,
Mhm.
and then better decisions. Then
Yeah. Okay. So let's.
thank you very much, Josara, to share with us all
Yes.
this lesson and open our life to understand better.
Yes.
Thank you.